Hello, everyone, and welcome to BunkaMania, Bunkazilla UK's official pro wrestling podcast, in a time when we returned to the land of extreme in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Well, we did via the network because, money and travel. It costs a lot at this point in time. But we travelled to the land of extreme to embark on the premium live event that was the Extreme Rules. So today, you'll be joining myself, Jeremy Graves, and the man who we could say has got the whole world in his hands. It is the Dekker Dane, Mr. Iain Boulton. Good sir, are you ready to travel to the land of extreme?
Let me press the button correctly because I pressed it too much. I was like, I was there, I was gone. I had the whole world for a few moments and I went.
You literally had the whole world in your hands because you pushed the button. If you're watching the video version, you will have seen what occurred.
Yes, I was here for a second, I was gone. And then we were going off again. There we are. It's all lovely. Yes, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Yes. A lot of things. It's like I don't know where we're going with this a little bit because it's been a while since we've done an episode. I think the last time we did one was a post the all out melee brawl out. Whatever. Some people
was it really that long ago at this point? Blimey.
It's been a while.
It has certainly been a while. But for those of you who have been tuning into the episodes when we do release them, we really appreciate it. All going well, he says, knowing that we said this last time, we may hopefully be able to do some episodes slightly more regularly. All going well. And should you want to subscribe on the platform where you may have discovered this show or various other platforms, we're on all of them like Apple, Spotify, and whatnot. Dekker Dane San here has made sure you can find it anywhere possible. Or if we're not somewhere, do let us know. And what I will add to that is wherever you found this, why not tell a friend? We'd really appreciate it. We want more people to discover the show. And there is also a video version of the podcast, as I alluded to. If you go on YouTube and you search for the channel Bunkazilla UK, you will find the archives of the video version of this here podcast. I said that I was clearly running out of breath then. But like I said, today we are delving back into the realm of the premium live event because we don't call them pay-per-views anymore. But Iain, I've decided we should just call them plea.
Plea.
Because some might say it's a plea for my time for the entire show to at least be good, which brings me on to my next point. You can tell I'm feeling very scattershot today, people. Peek behind the curtain. Been a bit of a weird couple of days in a personal capacity, so my brain is all over the shop. So this is the direction we're going in for this show.
And he's just got back from an Arsenal game.
Yes, that aside, ironically, that's the best thing that's happened the past couple of days.
They won today. 3-2, I believe, wasn't it?
Correct. Yes. And welcome to Football Mania, Bunkazilla UK's official. I was about to say pro football podcast, but it's a really weird way to put it.
I mean, I'd only be speaking about Reading FC, and you'd only be speaking about Arsenal, and I wouldn't be paying attention to the rest of the other leagues, whatever's going on in the world of football.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoy the show.
Is my team doing well? Was somehow third or fourth? Well, that's a miraculous thing from last season. Never mind.
So, speaking about being third or fourth, I'm attempting to make this be a segue here. We'll see how this goes.
Oh, this will be a challenge.
If you had to sum up the plea, the premium live event, that was Extreme Rules in 3 or 4 words maximum, what would you say?
3 or 4 words maximum?
Yep. So 4 words maximum then, we'll say.
Okay, 4 words, the Bray Wyatt show. But that's a little bit of disservice because I think majority of the wrestling on the show was actually quite entertaining. Some bits didn't necessarily land. We'll talk about it as we do a little play-by-play. But there were some very good matches. There's some cracking matches on the card. But yeah, I think the one thing a lot of people have taken away from this show, and in a nice positive way as well, is that Bray Wyatt is back in WWE. And it's like, it's still a bit weird saying that and kind of processing that after like a year and a couple of months since he was released. It's like one of those things, this won't happen again. It's like, oh, he's actually here. Let him in. And all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think, if anything, Extreme Rules is, for 4 words, the Bray Wyatt show.
I think for me, I'm going to say the good was good. And but I mean, the good stuff on the show was actually very good and very worthwhile going out of your way to see. Mm-hmm. The stuff that I feel wasn't is pretty skippable, in my opinion.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see where we judge a couple
Where
of
we
matches
differ
on
on
the card.
that.
I think we might be in sync with this time round, because I
Hmm.
think it's fairly clear where some of the card is. It's like there was promise. It's like first things first. This is an Extreme Rules match, Extreme Rules pay-per-view or play, where or is that play where every match had a stipulation. There was no just standard rules, which is I can't remember the last time an Extreme Rules event did that. It's like there was always at least one normal sort of match, even if it was just a standard championship match or a tag team match or something like that. But no, every match had a stipulation. There were not going to be any DQs anywhere around here or silly countouts. It's like, no, we're going to have winners this time, which is really, really good.
You're not wrong. I'm just trying to think, like on previous one. In fact, you know what? Let's just derail this. Right, Extreme Rules 2021. Can you recall off the top of your head what was on the 2021 card?
Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns, which I think was
that had an awful finish, didn't it? I seem to recall.
Yeah. Basically, Balor flopped like a fish with the Finn Balor demon music. Went onto the turnbuckle. Turnbuckle collapsed because of God, and then Roman Reigns won.
So I can reliably tell you that last year's Extreme Rules event had exactly one match that did not. It was an Extreme Rules match. That was it. The rest of them were like multiple people matches for titles and stuff, or just a singles match.
Because that was the first encounter of Becky and Bianca, I believe.
Correct. That ended in no contest,
which was a really good match as well.
Yeah. So actually, you know what? So let's look. We're going to do this as an interesting case point here. So here was 2021's Extreme Rules, and then we'll dive into 2022, and we'll see how much WWE has progressed in a year. So there's an interesting marker next to this first match. So I don't know, maybe this was a dark match or a pre-show match, perhaps. But Liv Morgan defeated Carmella in a six-man tag match.
That sounds like a pre-show match.
Yeah, in a six-man tag match, the New Day defeated Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos.
This must have. That sounds like a kickoff match. If this was on the main card, I completely forgot it. And
I mean, put it this way: that match went 18 minutes, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, that might have been on the main card then. Bollocks.
For the SmackDown tag titles, the Usos defeated the Street Profits. Yep. Glad to see we moved on from that feud.
Yep.
For the Raw Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair defeated Alexa Bliss.
Yep. Well, that was when Alexa. No, that was when she ripped up. That's when she ripped up Lily, I think. Yes, and it made no difference because Lily still appeared now and then on current TV.
In a triple threat match for the US title, Damian Priest retained against, let's test your knowledge here, Sheamus, and who was the other competitor?
Matt Riddle?
No.
Ooh.
I'll give you a moment to think. Because I'll tell you something. No. So I'm just going to say the name. I want to see I want to see and hear your reaction. Damian Priest defeated Sheamus and Jeff Hardy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Hardy was in WWE this point last. Well, actually, when was this show? Hang on.
I think this was like his final.
This was September last year. So
this is his final event before the incident at the house show, which led to him leaving.
Then we had Women's Championship match. Becky Lynch v Bianca Belair ended in a no contest after 17 and a half minutes.
Because Sasha Banks got involved and it became a triple threat at Crown Jewel.
Quite possibly. I'm just only looking at the results.
No, I tell a lie. Jeff Hardy's last major pay-per-view with WWE was Survivor Series.
Okay.
Because he was like the last person standing for like Team SmackDown before he lost.
That sounds like a thing that would have happened.
Well, that was the pay-per-view of the egg, so no one cared.
We're nearly at the 1 year anniversary of the egg. Oh my god.
But this time Black Adam's about to come out, Jeremy.
There you go. And then does that mean he's going to get a golden lightning bolt now instead?
I don't know. It's War Games this year, so it'll be better. It'll be better immediately.
And then the main event of 2021, as mentioned, was Roman Reigns defeating the Demon, Finn Balor, in an Extreme Rules match for the Universal title.
Thanks to God.
There you go. So, where do we go for 2022? And I've just also noticed that the year before was subtitled The Horror Show as well.
Yes, because they played with silly matches like Eye for an Eye, where Rey Mysterio lost an eye. Because why not? That also had the swamp match between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt at the time, which was a very weird one as well.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to derail this more. I'll very quickly run down what happened. Because that, again, it's interesting to see. So pre-show, Kevin Owens defeated Murphy.
Yeah.
Tables match for SmackDown tag titles. Cesaro and Nakamura defeated the New Day of Big E and Kofi.
Nice.
SmackDown women's title match. Bayley with Sasha defeated Nikki Cross with Alexa.
Yeah,
that was a time ago. Eye for an Eye. Rollins defeated Rey Mysterio. In very fine print italics here. The match could only be won when one competitor extracted an eye of their opponent.
You mean painted ping pong ball?
Asuka defeated. Asuka and Sasha Banks went to a no contest. For the Raw Women's title.
Mm-hmm.
Extreme Rules match for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre defeated Dolph Ziggler with the following additional fine print. The Extreme Rules stipulation only applied to Ziggler. McIntyre had to wrestle under normal singles rules. Additionally, had McIntyre gotten disqualified or counted out, Ziggler would have won the title. And then the main event was the quote-unquote Wyatt Swamp fight.
Okay.
So this brings us now. This genuinely now brings us on to 2022. So, like I said, I think that what was really good, and the bad was bad. And it'll be interesting to see where we fall on this. I think it's fair to say, though, what opened the show was freaking great.
You mean
and
if you can the good old-fashioned Donnybrook match?
And if you can go out of your way to see one match on this show, watch this. That is my opinion. Like, this has got a bit of everything. It's a great follow-up to not only the Clash at the Castle match involving Sheamus and Gunther. I haven't seen the rematch on SmackDown. I've heard about the tap-out malark that occurred. So it's kind of a bit of a follow-on from that. But this is a nice next chapter in this big rivalry between the two trios.
Yeah, I saw the rematch on SmackDown before Extreme Rules. Yeah, there was a bit of a kerfuffle with the sense because it's like Gunther only sort of tapped the mat like lightly tapped it twice, and it didn't seem like it was in a I quit submission sort of way. He was kind of like him sort of clutching for like, oh, I need to get a grip on something. So it's one of those things. And the fact of the matter is, it's kind of like I think it kind of led to a little bit of confusion. So Imperium could run down and cause a distraction for the finish. Because essentially what happened is Imperium come down, Brawling Brutes come down, they have a little squabble around the rings. Gunther gets Gunther. Sorry, I used to the way they do the SmackDown answer because I like it when they go Gunther.
We have three names to call him now.
Gunther gets a shillelagh and decks Sheamus with it to win. So yeah, it's a bit weird, but it was still a fairly decent rematch. Not as good as Castle. Yeah, this one was good. This one was very good.
Yeah, there were all sorts of weapons about the place, and by weapons I mean like bits of a bar, giant wooden kegs and stuff like that.
A picture of Sheamus's grandfather as well, which looked like Sheamus.
I was going to say that looks suspiciously like Sheamus. So at least the family tree is real, I suppose. but yeah, this is just, if you like hard hitting action, just imagine it with two trios who are up for mullering each other. It's really, really good fun.
Yes. Now, there are some nice little touches that I do like in the match, especially with Imperium's entrance now, because when Gunther takes off his jacket, immediately Ludwig Kaiser's picked it up and kind of twirled it around his arm. It's like it's just done in this weird sort of fluid motion, which I only sort of noticed on the SmackDown before. It's like, well, that's new. It's like a magician. He really is. But no, very hard hitting, lots of chops, lots of slaps. It's pretty much stiff wrestling, and the crowd were eating it up, and it's just it's a good. I think some reviewers have just said they could keep feuding, and I think we'll all be fine with it. To be perfectly honest, let's put them in War Games. Let's put them in War Games in a couple of months' time. It'll be fun. But I kind of do feel it is building to Sheamus winning that title at some point. possibly at Survivor Series. Maybe I wouldn't do it at Crown Jewel. I think it would be a disservice to do it at Crown Jewel because I think if Sheamus is going to win the Intercontinental Champion, a belt he hasn't won before, it'd be nice to do it at like a US show, because then you will definitely get that support. You'll definitely get that reaction from the crowd.
I was going to be quite direct in how I say this. At least it'll be in front of an audience that arguably would be far more invested in it.
True.
I could be even more direct than that, but I won't. One of the big moments of the match, actually, I'm just recalling in my brain, was when Gunther was put through the commentator's table via just like the Celtic cross, aka Razor's Edge, basically. So that was like one of the bigger moments of the match as well.
Yeah, it was that as well.
But so if you go on, sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm really sorry.
Oh, and they also destroyed part of like the LED barricade as well. And it was still perfectly working. I was impressed. From the fact that I now work in the AV industry, that's good tech. That's very good tech.
So, funny enough, I was actually going to bring this up, but part of me does wonder, was that actually on? Or had they kind of gimmicked it to be like that part of the logo?
I don't know.
I say answers on a postcard, answers on a tweet, I guess.
It did just casually seem like it just fell over in the debris, in the battling, in that sort of way.
So, the next match on the card, it was for the SmackDown Women's Championship in an Extreme Rules match. This was Ronda Rousey versus the champion, Liv Morgan. Okay, so the short version, Ronda Rousey won. The slightly longer version, Ronda Rousey won by either applying a bicep submission hold that somehow made Liv Morgan pass out, or via a choke that Liv Morgan was smiling to as she passed out. Take your pick. It's really difficult to figure out based on the commentary as well. The other version, this match, much as I've liked kind of the other matches that they've had and whatnot, this was not pretty, and that's a bad word to use probably in this context. A lot of stuff just wasn't working, just kind of wasn't going their way. It felt very, very clunky, I guess is one way to put it. Arguably, because I've said this before, when it comes to certain matches like this, that did add to the sort of real feel of it and like the unique situation. That's all well and good, but this genuinely did just feel like, what the heck is going on at times? And it was also primarily built around a baseball bat that Liv Morgan had brought with her to ringside, and they sort of had to like not have Liv Morgan hit Ronda, but then I think ultimately Ronda hit her like 10 times or something ridiculous, and it's like, all right, one's enough, two just to be sure, but 10, this isn't GTA,
It's a little bit of a no. It's quite a no-sell show for this one. This match was a match. It's a bit of a shame because it's like they were kind of building up to something. I felt that this would be more of a brutal war, but the way that they'd been kind of promoting it on SmackDown, because I think one of the last major interactions they had on SmackDown was like a pull-apart brawl as well. So it's like, okay, we're gonna have a bit of animosity. That means all bets are off. We might have a bit of a good show here, but no, it ultimately kind of revolved around this bat, which Liv wasn't using and Ronda was. A couple of it's just basically, it's like Ronda didn't really want to use any weapons. She was just quite happily using her fists and her feet, because obviously she is the MMA star.
Okay, because quite frankly, they in and of themselves are weapons.
She is the weapon. And it's just it's like, it's a bit rough there at the start, and you go, okay, this works into the thing of, this is a brawl, but it gets noticeable. It gets considerably noticeable towards the end. There was a spot with a chair in the corner where I think Liv was supposed to kind of wedge it into the corner and then do a move to throw Ronda into the chair. The chair fell out after like gentle nudge of the ropes.
If I may just say, according to Corey Graves, I think, as he said in the later match, the furniture didn't want to cooperate, quote unquote.
Yes, pretty much. And then they tried to so wing it that way a little bit. The finish is a bit weird because it's like, Liv does like a senton through the table, and all of a sudden Ronda's got it in this sort of hold. And I kind of feel like it might be like a thigh crush or something, but I guess they didn't really want to say thigh crush because obviously people will be going, oh, it's like, I don't know. It's just like, it's leaving a lot of very lewd imaginations there. That's all I'm going to say on it, especially when you've got the graphic of, when you've got the image of Liv Morgan smiling as she's wedged between the leg and the thigh of Ronda Rousey in a way.
I mean, hey, maybe it was just her laughing at what the hell is this? Like,
it's like this is bollocks. I'm going to have it out now.
It's like, you know what? I survived. Whatever. Have the title. I want it, but I have the title.
Yeah. Let's just move on and pretend none of this ever happened.
Yeah. I mean, one assumes that. I mean, I don't know at this point what Becky Lynch's status is because I know she got injured during the SummerSlam match with Bianca, but one of the rumors for a while was that in theory we might be working towards a big Becky v Ronda match, the match we've not had, as it were. So it doesn't surprise me that Ronda's the champion, but it maybe surprises me she's champion this early, if that makes sense.
I mean, there's no harm in her having another. Again, there is no harm of her having a run with the belt again to build up to. I think it was either. I think this might have been Wrestle Talk who reflected on this. I think this whole little small period has been like a rehabilitation for the Ronda Rousey character, because until she lost it at Money in the Bank, she wasn't that interesting as a character. And the whole sort of badass sort of aura, especially with the feuding with Adam Pearce for a couple of weeks and stuff like that, it built up that sort of, okay, she doesn't like authority, that sort of stuff. She's a badass again, all that sort of stuff. So maybe this is now putting Ronda back on track on saying, okay, we can carry on as normal with our proposed plan. So Ronda she might have another match with Liv. I really don't want to see another match with Liv. There's some great potential there with Shayna Baszler. Maybe you can have a little side feud there. But yeah, I think when we get to Rumble season, I think the plan's still going to be Becky Ronda at Mania next year. It seems the most logical choice to me right now.
Agreed. Next up, we had a strap match between Karrion Kross with Scarlett and Drew McIntyre. Karrion Kross getting the win after Scarlett got in the ring. Drew McIntyre walked by her like a gentleman. And then Scarlett, as Jim Ross might have once said, being the Jezebel that she is, pepper sprayed Drew McIntyre. Like, that's the extreme level, pun intended, of how things progressed.
Thankfully, not a fireball, which went wrong a couple of weeks ago because it didn't go anywhere near Drew.
just a bright light that slightly made his corneas feel a bit of pain.
He just went, what the heck was that? Okay, improvise. Okay, low blow.
Was it as bad as the legendary Ultimate Warrior fireball versus Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc 98?
I cannot remember off the top of my
head. Have you ever seen this?
I don't think I have, to be honest, but I would not be surprised if it was worse.
Go out of your way to see it, because let's just say Hogan was in one corner of the ring, Warrior was in the other, and Hogan lit it a bit too early and just kind of threw it in the air.
It's like, where?
But while he was still facing the opposite direction.
He could go backwards. He must be playing some sort of rail shooter game. I don't know.
Hulk Hogan's a magician. But yeah, so this match, general story, if my memory is correct, that Drew was ready for the match, Karrion Kross wasn't. We got a bit of a brawl on the outside and whatnot before Kross eventually had the strap, I was going to say forcibly applied to his wrist, but that's an interesting phrase. Before Drew put the strap...
What happened.
Yeah, true.
That's what happened.
I was trying to think of a better way of phrasing it. But eventually Drew was the one to properly get the match beginning, as it were, because Karrion Kross was not cooperating with the furniture, as it were. And this was all right. Wasn't anything massively special. There was a lot of, like, obviously, the strap being like hit against each other. So I'm sure they both got incredibly large amounts of leather welts on their backs this morning and such. This was all right. Ultimately, it was clearly to try and get Karrion Kross over more. This was clearly designed to make him come across more of like a bit more of a force, maybe a la what we saw him before the infamous main roster debut from his original NXT run. There is something missing, though, with Karrion Kross. I've not really seen him since he's come back. I think I saw like the initial thing when he came back and it was all black and white or something. And I saw him sitting in the crowd at Clash at the Castle. There is something missing. I'm very glad Scarlett's there because even just from the entrance point of view, it still adds a heck of a lot. And they've got the timing of it really worked out well on camera. So for me, I just thought that's really good how you done that from a production point of view. So good job. There is just something missing about it. I almost want him just to have like a big cloak or a trench coat. Kind of like Undertaker. I think he needs something like that. Possibly. I mean, in terms of presentation is pretty much fine. There's nothing wrong with the presentation. It's absolutely perfect in that sense. You've got Kross and Scarlett together. That's what made them a name in NXT. Why fix it, Vince? Why fix it to something else like a gimp mask or something? I don't know. Anyway. Here comes the axe, and here comes the smasher, the demolition, walking disaster. Hey, greatest theme song ever, one of them. I would defend, I would die on that hill, as it were.
The match itself, I think, it had little moments of like, okay, this is getting interesting. But it was like a start-stop affair. And I think, I don't know, it's possibly finding that right partner for Kross to really get over somewhat like a monster heel sort of way, because it's quite clear they're trying to position him as a viable challenger for Roman down the way, because some of his promos have been going, I'm just going to take care of Drew and then I'm going to focus on becoming a history-making person by becoming the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, to be perfectly honest. I think it's about finding the right partner for him to really demonstrate his qualities as a wrestler. I mean, he's got the look, he's got the menace, he's got the presentation, he's got the manager with Scarlett. It's just something about, I guess, the moveset repertoire a little bit. The finishers are fine. You got the Saito suplex and you've got cross jacket, and then you've got like, it's kind of like similar to Bull Hammer or Will Ospreay's finish with the elbow, which
the kind of the cross blade elbow thing.
That sort of thing. I know. I guess
the hidden blade. That's what Ospreay calls it. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe the strap was probably not the best thing to use for this match.
It is a very limiting concept in some ways.
Yeah, because they weren't really doing much with the strap other than tie each other around the post, whip them a couple of times, repeat on another pole, something like that. And it was more the same. There was no sort of people trying to be choking people out or even doing something like trying to get away. It's like with the dog collar match at Revolution between MJF and CM Punk, where it's like, MJF will try and get out of the ring, but he can't because he's attached to the chain, that sort of thing. So there was not little bits and pieces like that. So it's like, maybe the strap match stipulation was probably not a good one for them. Maybe they could have just had a good old-fashioned Extreme Rules in that sort of way.
Even just maybe just as a concept, a Falls Count Anywhere.
Yeah, or Falls Count Anywhere, stuff like that. That might have changed things. I mean, will we see them fight again? Possibly. Would not be surprised. But yeah, essentially, it's kind of like in the grand scheme of getting Kross wins, this was the right call. But there's still some work to be done.
This feud must continue.
Well, I mean, the promo side of things haven't been too bad. Again, it's like there are bits that have been decent on this feud. It's just like the end product, or when the big moments come into it, that's where it goes a little bit off.
Next up, we had an I Quit match. Oh, we did not actually. I'll skip one. We had a ladder match, for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. It was Bianca Belair defeating Bayley. Now, one of the big things about this was the fact that Damage Control, that being Dakota and Io, had become the women's tag champs, and now Bayley had her sights set finally on becoming champion once again. This was an all right ladder match. I mean, I say all right. I don't mean it like that, but if you're looking for this to be top tier ladder match, if I put it this way, for what you've seen in the past, this isn't up there. This was, by many accounts, I've heard a few people describe it as pretty safe, which, good, because they're dangerous.
Indeed.
At the same time, some of the stuff they did was really freaking impressive. Like, was it one of the moments that stood out to me the most was Belair doing her KOD finisher on Bayley while she was holding half of a ladder.
Yes.
That looked like it sucked for Bayley.
It did, but on the kind of like the reasoning side of things is what was I guess the idea there was Belair had put Bayley into that position. Yeah, I'm just thinking I've got the right people around the right order here. Yeah, so Belair's got Bayley preparing for Kiss of Death. Bayley's probably going, oh, I'll just grab the ladder. That will save me. And the ladder just sort of pulls away. Okay, I kind of get to that sort of sense. It's like, it's a weird spot, but it's also still quite impressive.
I in a way imagine it being maybe Bayley thought, if I hold this, I'll be too heavy. That's how like my inner monologue and brain thinking has done it.
Probably not conveyed well in the commentary, maybe. I don't know. But no, I think I'm with you. I think this was it was a fairly decent ladder match. It's not a terrible ladder match. I've seen worse. And I think it's pretty serviceable. I think the feud's going to continue. There's no questions about it. It's continuing. Whether or not Bayley claims the belt at the next event or somewhere down the line, we'll have to see. But no, I think as a chapter in the feud against Damage Control, good. It's fine. It's fine. It's been a bit with Damage Control as a faction. It's a little bit kind of topsy-turvy a bit because it's like Io, Sky, and Dakota Kai should have won the tag team belts to begin with, yet they won it like a couple of weeks later. And I don't want another sort of situation with this where Bayley kind of should have won from a storytelling perspective here, but then we wait till like maybe Crown Jewel or maybe Survivor Series to do it. I don't know, but it's like as long as it doesn't feel like that, oh, we might have made the wrong call here, quick change, then that's fine. But yeah, serviceable. Yeah. Serviceable. It was a decent match, not terrible, good, and it's like considering the dangers of a ladder match. Yeah, there was some danger, there was some stuff. Everyone was happy.
2 points from me, and then we'll progress as we want to.
Yeah.
But the first one is in the build-up video for this match, because again, like I've sort of said before, people, I haven't got BT Sport and such, so I can't watch Raw and SmackDown regularly. I just kind of see the odd few clips here and there, and then whatever I see on these plea events.
Yeah.
So in the story, based on the video package, Bayley was the one that chose this match.
Yes.
And Damage Control got involved ultimately. And Becky, wrong person's name, Bianca was able to overcome the multiple people.
Yes.
This kind of feels like to me that if it was Bayley that chose the match, she probably should have won it, especially given how they emphasized that Damage Control had taken out everyone else. I get the idea of, Bianca overcoming adversity and whatnot and somehow winning. It does just kind of feel like, okay, what's the next step? Because I can't figure out a natural progression for there to be another match now, unless realistically it's a trios match involving Damage Control versus Bianca and friends
for all the belts.
I mean, maybe at Survivor Series they effectively do a double title match, like whoever gets the win.
You could do, because then if Damage Control wins, Bayley becomes champion. If Bianca wins, whoever's partnering it with her, maybe Asuka and Alexa Bliss, they win the tag belts. Possibly win a take all. Could be something. I mean, I don't necessarily envision it, but it's just like unless Belair, not Belair, Bayley's not the one to take the belt off Bianca later on. Because I still think, and we're going to be moving on to Judgment Day very shortly. But it's kind of like it's still very interesting that we haven't seen Rhea go for that belt, despite the fact she was due to have a match at Money at the Bank, I think this year for it, and had to be pulled out because of injury. So there's still that.
There is still kind of that pin in the conversation, if you will.
Yeah.
That needs to sort of be resolved. But yeah, I mean, the whole like winner take all concept, it's arguably a bit WCW in terms of booking ideas, because boy, there have been some weird WCW booking ideas, let me tell you. But I think in terms of what's the next natural progression for Bayley to get a rematch, because Bianca at this point doesn't need to give Bayley one, as far as I'm concerned, based on what I just saw.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, she'll be the fighting champion and go, oh, sure, I'll beat you again, or whatever, but...
Or they might have a qualifiers match to see who gets the challenger next. Ta-da! It's Bayley again. Or fill a feud.
But then again, as we were sort of alluding to earlier, when it came to the Ronda thing, one assumes at some point Becky's going to be back in the picture. Becky Lynch, that is. And one assumes that she will become champion and we might get a unified women's champion at the end of it, like the whole 2 belts thing. Or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just simply, it'll be for the 1 title. Maybe.
Or you could swap. If Becky's going to be going after SmackDown Championship, you probably could throw, when she comes back, you could probably take Charlotte to Raw. Because I don't think she's feuded with Belair yet.
Was it Ronda in storyline that broke, quote unquote, Charlotte's arm?
Yes.
All right, so that will probably be the logical place for that to begin then.
Yeah, maybe.
In fairness, actually, depending where things are at, maybe that's the direction next for Ronda. But she's going to fight Charlotte for a while. And it'll be another epic Survivor Series match between the both of them.
I'm not that. It's like, they're both talented, but it's just like, that feud was done to death the first half of the year. I don't need it again for the second half of the year. I'd rather have the Shayna Baszler feud. Thank you very much.
I feel you have made your judgment on what you feel about that as a potential match.
Pretty much.
With that in mind, then, why don't we move on to Judgment Day talk?
No, you forgot the.
Oh, sorry.
The Judgment Day.
Or if it's like in German, is it Der Judgment Day or something?
The Judgment Day, D.
There you go.
No one who speaks German can ever be evil.
I was hoping you were going to pick up on that. I'm glad. So we got an I Quit match between Finn Balor and Edge. Okay. First of all, Finn Balor got the win. That's not the whole story here.
Which was from a kind of let's make Judgment Day a big deal now. Big tick.
But within that framework, Ian, within that framework, did this need to go half a bloomin' hour?
I mean, this is an Edge match, and we've talked about this. We've talked about this before. Edge matches tend to start off very slowly and then start picking up towards the pace, and then
they do.
Yeah, and then we have a massive crescendo, which this match had, and the crescendo was amazing. But it's like you have to kind of be patient with he's like, are you going to give up? No. Okay. 2 minutes later, do you give up? No. That was my bad impersonation.
Do you give up? Never. But yeah,
is your name Finn? It's Finn. Is it Balor? No. Well, you're not quitting.
You see, there was a part in this match before we sort of delve into problems, before we get onto the really good stuff at the end with this. There was part because one time Edge specifically said on the microphone, I'll never quit, or I don't quit. Like, he said something very specific that made me thought, are you gonna is someone gonna press record on that and then just replay it like they did with Mankind and The Rock at Rumble 99? Because they've never really done that when there was the pre-taped thing.
I mean, I kind of foresaw, I kind of felt going into this match, the only way Edge will probably say I quit is if he's made to. And whether that's either a friend or he's about to get seriously injured. Obviously, in this case, it's Mrs. Edge, Beth Phoenix, the Glamazon. And I felt that's the only way this match ends for Finn for victory. He's like, there's no way he's getting a normal I quit. Because of that never say quit attitude, it's like, of course there's going to be some shenanigans to cause this victory.
So let's sort of do a cliff notes as to how this began and how it progressed, because it started in the ring, then eventually, I don't know how long, but it felt like an eternity at one point. Then eventually went into a bit of a brawl around the crowd. They ended up at the kickoff set, which was quite amusing, sort of doing a little few moments on there involving a hockey stick and a crossface submission. Yeah, they brawled up a set of staircase, up a giant staircase, as it were, and then Edge crotched himself on the dividing barrier, the bar, as you walk down the set of stairs, and then proceeded to walk down as Balor walked after him. Ended up back in the ringside area. This led to Judgment Day eventually coming down. which saw, I think it was Dominic then get face-to-face with Edge when it was just those two for a few moments. And one of my favorite moments of the match... Oh, go on. Did I miss something?
I think first is Edge is handcuffed to the ring rope.
Oh, was that then? Oh, I thought that was a bit...
everyone starts beating up with him. Then Beth appears, takes some people out. No, before Beth, it's Ray. Ray comes down to help
right.
out.
So Ray comes down. I'm assuming makes a big return since we last saw him at Clash of the Castle, get his balls kicked in, as it were. Yep. And he does a thing, gets taken out relatively quickly. We do not see him again until after the match has ended. Good return, Ray.
Because Dom, bastard son, really beats him up.
Dom bastard son Mysterio.
Michael Cole going, that's your father, you stupid kid. Someone needs to punch this kid and give him a slap around the face for hurting his dad.
So there was a great moment, which again, I can't remember if this was before or after the handcuffs that get applied to Edge via Rhea Ripley, but there's a moment when it's just Dom and Edge in the ring. And Dom's kind of going, hey, yeah, I'm a dumb kid. Haha, why don't we hang out again like old times? And extends his hand out for a handshake. And then Edge shakes it and perfectly timed does the swiftest kick to the balls you could possibly do. And I howled with laughter because credit to Dom, the rest of the match, like when Finn did like the 3 coup de grace from the top rope, Dom, while holding Edge's legs so he couldn't move, was still selling his nuts. It was great. He was still like clutching, going, ah!
Yeah, it was just the rush to the end was just a bit insane because you had the first bit of Edge being handcuffed to the ring ropes. Ray turned up, and then everyone else is getting kendo sticks and starting. Rhea Ripley's decided to go have a chat with someone in the audience for a little bit. But if you see in the background, she's just leaning against the barricade, just kind of going, yeah, we're winning. It's fine. Totally fine. Then Beth Phoenix turns up, and then there's all manner of madness. Edge gets loose, does 3 spears, because why not?
Well, this is the key detail, is that Beth and Rhea had like a stare down in the ring and led to a bit of a brawl, of which specifically Beth started saying to Rhea, this is your dream match. So we're getting a match between the two at some point. Part of me wouldn't be surprised for whatever reason, even though after the match it would imply it should be a bit later, if this perhaps happens at Survivor Series or something. Yeah. It seems logical. But we'll come back to the Beth and Rhea dynamic in a minute, because that adds a nice, unique element now to the whole Judgment Day Edge gang storyline. I don't know what to call it.
Because eventually the match concludes with, obviously, Edge is beaten down again. Beth's about to help out, but unfortunately she's hit by a chair by Rhea, and then Concerto is set up, and it's very simple.
No, is not hit by a chair.
Oh no,
Rhea punches her.
Oh, brass knuckles.
Brass knuckles. Because
yes,
I remember that because it was the second time in the matter of days I saw brass knuckles on wrestling television. If you watched AEW Dynamite, and it's like, someone watched Dynamite, didn't they?
It's like all this wrestling's copying one another in a way. No, you are correct. Sorry. Yes, basically Beth is taken out with brass knuckles. Concerto sets up. Finn basically goes, you're going to quit or we're going to really hurt Beth. And obviously Edge, being the noble husband that he is, goes, I quit. Don't hurt her. I quit. And then Beth gets concertoed anyway.
Like the dastardly heels of Judgment Day are.
Which I knew was going to happen. It's kind of like you kind of think for proper evil villain you still go through with it.
The crowd were, unless it was crowd sweetening, which wouldn't be the first time, the crowd were really into it at this point and were really just game for whatever was going on in front of them. Pardon me. So this is really good, and I've now got the idea at Survivor Series we get like a trios match where it's a combination of Judgment Day, but specifically features Rhea. And then we have more than likely Edge, Ray, and Beth. So it means we can actually get like that dynamic happening, because I am well up for seeing Rhea v Beth. I mean, that could be really good fun.
I mean, something that hasn't been touched upon during the premium live event was the current storyline with AJ Styles, because in the
they alluded to that very briefly.
Yeah, in like a side story in Judgment Day is Finn going, "Hey AJ, I'm your friend. We're friends. Come join Judgment Day."
Bullet Club for life.
Bullet Club, but this time Judgment Day for life. It's like, no, I'm fine as it is. I like being alone. It's like, but AJ, if I beat you up, it's gonna hurt me because I'm your friend, and I'm gonna do the same thing like I did to Edge, like put his head in a chair and then stamp on it. But I don't do that because I'm your friend. And you kind of think it's going somewhere. It's like, I will be stunned if it leads to AJ joining Judgment Day. I don't think it will. But
in fairness, you've just answered the question, because I was thinking, how could they make it an 8-person tag? You've just answered it. AJ's on Team Edge.
Maybe. We'll see.
Because then that would be, let me get my people right. Balor, Priest, Dom, and Rhea versus Edge, Ray, Beth, and AJ.
Good work.
There's your Survivor Series match right there.
Could work. I mean, the only asterisk I have against this, it's like, it is the Edge feud is continuing, which
of course
is annoying on one side, but the fact is, it seems like the characters seem more aligned to what they should be doing, because I think until Triple H took over, Judgment Day was just losing things left, right, and center, and now it's like, now they're winning things left, right, and center, and it's like, okay, things are going in a direction.
Maybe the big plot twist is ultimately Edge will be brainwashed and will end up back in Judgment Day.
If Edge turns up as Judgment Day leader again, I will be annoyed.
Oh, no. Judgment Day brainwashed lackey.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I have a feeling the story is going to probably evolve a little bit more of AJ Styles. I think we'll get to the stage where Edge will probably bow out of this storyline, because it has to. They have to reach a point. I mean, I know they look at long-term storytelling now. They've actually hired someone for long-term storytelling, but it's like Edge can't keep on with Judgment Day, nor can Ray. Please, can they do something else soon? I mean, I understand from story point now why we are carrying on a little bit more, but there has to come a time where it's like, right, new people, please, to deal with Judgment Day. Anyway.
Look forward to this rivalry continuing or randomly concluding at Crown Jewel.
But meanwhile, backstage, The Miz had an issue with a hockey mascot
who looks like the Sugar Puff Monster.
Yes. And all he wanted The Miz to do was to wear a t-shirt. So Dexter Lumis turned up and choked him out.
Yeah, this is basically what you need to know. Apparently on because we're recording this Sunday evening for context, like the day after the event took place. And on Raw, there's going to be some kind of birthday celebration for young Mizzletop, as it were. So I guess that birthday party will get ruined by Dexter Lumis staring.
And more mascots. Basically, that's the Lumis faction now. He's got mascots for friends.
Hang on, wait, they're in Brooklyn. What's the mascot of the Brooklyn Nets? This is an important research.
It's a giant net. It's not a net. I know. I do not believe it's a net. Before people get angry in the comments, it's not a net.
Brooklyn Nets mascot.
I mean, NFC ones is a lion called Kingsley, who's got a wife called Queensley, and they had a son during lockdown called Princely, and they're all big animal fursuit anthros.
I'm going to read verbatim from this website that has appeared on my Google search. I'm going to read verbatim what this first sentence is. Brooklyn Nets NBA official mascots: Duncan the Dragon, Sly the Silver Fox, and Brooklyn Knight.
Well, a knight and a dragon should turn up to this birthday party. Maybe.
Oh, is this the history of the... I'm not even... Let's just... there you go. You've just learned about various mascots, people. Have fun with that. I'm not going to read any more into that because it seems to be a big history about the mascots of the Brooklyn Nets.
Moving on.
So so actually, wait. So I should clarify just to finish off the thought on that match. The last 10 minutes or so of this were freaking great. If you can't watch the whole match, fast forward to like the last 10 minutes or so. You'll know how much to fast forward, because the match basically goes 29 minutes, 55 seconds, according to Wikipedia. So you know to fast forward approximately 20 minutes. The last 10 minutes of this or so were freaking great. Great story, great development, some really unique and interesting visuals from a WWE perspective.
Well, there was a wicked spear through the ropes as well.
Mm.
It's like it speared. I think it's.
Oh, he basically did like a suicide dive spear, didn't he?
Yeah, he speared Finn through the ropes, and they landed on Dom and Damian Priest,
and probably nearly on his own head to a degree.
Oh no!
So the main event was the Fight Pit match, with UFC legend Daniel Cormier serving as the special referee. This match went 16 minutes 35 seconds. It felt longer. This, I thought, was really boring. There were some fun moments, like Matt Riddle doing the giant leaping kick off the cage like that other MMA fighter did a couple of years ago, making him look like Goku or something. There were a couple of interesting moments. A ridiculous moment when Riddle did a senton off the top of the Fight Pit platform to then crush, what looked like literally crush Seth Rollins. So God knows how he feels. The whole Daniel Cormier thing. So I've got a theory now when it comes to WWE and special referees. Special referees do nothing but call the action. Look at Jeff Jarrett at SummerSlam. Just called the action. Nothing happened. The only things that occurred, both in that match and this match, were both participants, if you will, or both teams in the case of SummerSlam, having a moment when they sort of did something that Jeff Jarrett didn't like. And then Cormier kind of pulled them both to one side and went, hey, you're fighting him, not me.
Yeah, because to clarify, it's just there were moments where both inadvertently bump into Cormier.
Thank you, I forgot that keyword, inadvertently.
So basically, it's like I think the first one's Riddle's pounding on Seth, inadvertently back elbows Cormier to the point that Cormier sort of goes, "Oi, no, stop it." And I can't remember how Seth gets in trouble, but again, he does something. It
was something very similar, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, something very. No, I know. I think he pushes Cormier away because again, I think he's getting into a corner or something like that, and then it's like, oh no, give him some space. It's like no, push away, and then.
Which logic would dictate that that's going to lead to one or the other getting clomped by Cormier, like it would have done with Jarrett, but just doesn't. It just doesn't lead to anything, which isn't an issue. It's just, I don't know.
I didn't mind it. It was fine. It did what it needed to do. Riddle got a win back. That's the important bit. And apart from probably those big moments like the senton off the top of the Fight Pit and stuff like that, I think the concept works. I think it's probably about the people in the ring. I mean, Riddle makes sense because of the MMA side of things, and having Cormier involved obviously has that extra MMA sort of viewership going. Ooh, because there was no pins.
I agree.
There's no pins or anything like that. It was simply just like it's mixed martial art rules in a way. You either knock someone out or you make them submit. It's one of those sort of things. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's the fact that there was no sort of pins or element of near falls or near things, because basically it was just a central back and forth, and then Riddle won. And maybe they needed a bit more kind of like almighty tap, or is he about to pass out, that sort of thing. So maybe you had that little bit of drama in the middle of the match, and possibly I don't recall seeing that sort of drama in it, because towards like the later third, like the last third, they go up to the top. There's a very ruthless buckle bomb on the edge of the cage, which is a bit nasty.
A pedigree was in there.
Pedigree, RKOs, and stuff like that. And the fact is, those moves are fine and all, but they're not. I think for this match, they're not going to be like the ultimate finishers. You obviously expect them to be the ultimate finishers in a normal wrestling match or a normal WWE wrestling match. But because it is this sort of, no, you knock them out or you make them submit, and it has to be done in the ring, not on top of the little viewing platform. So that's a weird thing to have in the cage, I suppose. I don't know. But it's like I know they did Fight Pit matches in NXT and they were quite successful, but I hadn't watched any of them. It seems like a fine concept. I think it's about building the drama inside the actual pit. If you make it work, it works. but I think there just didn't seem much drama in it.
Fair point. Fair point. Two other random notes before I forget. First of all, I did like Seth Rollins being a tribute to Rob Van Dam.
Yes.
That was cool.
I thought for a second, it's like, is he just entering it in just a giant, like, overall onesie? It's like, oh no, he's going to zip that off. That's fine.
The other thing, I thought, so I haven't seen the other Fight Pit matches, but based on the footage they showed previously, the Fight Pit's either been in a Thunderdome environment or in a very intimate setting, like, say, the Performance Center, like in the Capital Wrestling thing.
They've both been in NXT. I think one was 2019, and I think the other was 2020. The first one, I think, was Riddle. Was it Riddle? Yeah, it was Riddle and some.
Quick look.
No. I think Timothy Thatcher's been involved in both of them.
The first Fight Pit match was held May 27th, 2020,
Riddle,
an episode
Thatcher,
of NXT
between
Riddle and Thatcher. The first one had Kurt Angle as referee, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
It was
Ciampa and Thatcher.
Yeah, although ironically the second one isn't actually noted on this page. But anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, so the other thing as well, I thought this visually looked utter garbage. The way that it was constructed, it meant there was a giant shadow in the ring in the center. And it was quite, I don't know why it was so off-putting to me, but I thought just visually, this didn't work in the context of this show. It just came across as very garish. If you were in the arena, God knows what your view would have been like, because I imagine it was horrible if you were up in the upper deck area. But I think visually, this doesn't work. There's a way to refine it to where it can do, like, for example, if it looked like the old Lion's Den thing back in the days of Ken Shamrock from, like, Attitude Era, that had a bit more of a wider frame to it. And I think that maybe lent itself better, particularly from a lighting perspective. And I appreciate the production element isn't something that really is anything major to, go all balls out about. But to me, I just thought visually this was one of the weakest things WWE have done in ring in a while. And it was mainly because of how much lighting there wasn't in the ring. If you go back and look at it on the network version I was watching, it just looked like there was a giant big box shadow in the ring, which was where the lighting above could not light the ring. And I was just very surprised that WWE just didn't have any lights directly above to compensate for that. But neither here nor there.
Okay. I mean, it's like I didn't necessarily have an issue with how it was being presented. I mean, again, it's like the way I look at it is like, if they're able to do it on the main roster once and they can identify how to make it better moving forward, then fair enough. I mean, there are certain matches that they've put on TV which are really pointless to film. Punjabi prison match, for example.
Oh yeah, that's like the worst offender.
You will never film that properly. But it's like, I think, for all intents and purposes, again, it's like it was an NXT gimmick that's been moved to. That's now been moved to.
Oh, Triple H.
Yes, lots of Triple H gimmicks in this one, including the copyright logo. But no, it's like, yeah, I think the match was fine. I mean, it's just it was a thing. It was a thing.
But yeah, so that's just my thoughts. So let's get on to what really was the main event of the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So leading up to this, there have been the whole thing about the White Rabbit promos, which if there is ever anything you can now have a comeback to when people on another wrestling show go, oh, who the hell is this? All you've got to do is say, you were happy to Google and look into source code of a website regarding a White Rabbit teaser that WWE put out, yet you can't Google someone's name for 10 seconds to look them up. That's what this proved amongst wrestling fans. But what this also did was lead to Extreme Rules, where they, a couple of times during the show, because I've not seen any of the stuff on TV, I've not seen any of the teasers, so I was kind of coming into this blind. There were a couple of moments during the show. There was one during the Imperium entrance, when I think it either showed a little bit of a teaser of like a White Rabbit digging into an X symbol on the ground, and there was another one later of some like vertical phone footage of someone at like a box office. walking up to someone dressed up as a white rabbit.
Mhm.
It was really random, and it's like, all right, sure,
Yeah.
whatever. And I kind of thought, at least it's like a subliminal way of doing it.
So here's the thing: about probably 2-3 weeks ago, these things. Well, first of all, this all started like back at house shows. But at house shows, lights just went down and they just played Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit song. And basically, towards the end, red lights start appearing to sort of pulse along with the song, like The Fiend, like obviously Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. And that only happened on house shows. No, it's like there's no mention of it on main roster shows at all. It's just like, it's a thing. They thought, oh, maybe people are just prattling around backstage. And then the whole thing with the QR codes begins. And now this started like very kind of just nonchalantly in the background. So like the very first one was like, I think Austin Theory was just getting ready for a match. And you just see one that's like the size of maybe like a very small pamphlet, just casually in the background of just, oh, the QR code. All right, I'm fine. I think also that show, there was also a guy who just walked along with just holding a giant sign with a QR code, just going da, 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 along the hard cam, that sort of way. And yeah, you get all these little teasers. Like the first one was like this Hangman game, this animated Hangman game. You didn't play it, but it's just like a little video. It's like, who killed the world? And it's like, the answer is, you did. And that was basically it. And from there, every show, every main roster show had another QR code or just a random thing to kind of thing. And the fact that one of the best things about this is like, no one references it in the main roster shows at all. It's just kind of like, it's business as usual. I mean, the SmackDown before Extreme Rules, Triple H has a little chat in the ring saying, welcome to the season premiere of Raw. Just casually turns his microphone around. There's a QR code on the back of it.
God's sake.
And it's like a lot of this just like it's all the little Easter eggs that build into Wyatt's career when he was like Husky Harris from NXT.
They
days.
reference Husky Harris. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. And then you go obviously to the Firefly days of good old classic Bray Wyatt, all through to things like even things like he wore in Firefly Funhouse things. Like you see codes and stuff. And you go, oh, that links to the dates. Or it's like their phrases linked to certain tweets that he made months ago and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's kind of like for the Bray Wyatt fan, if you just really invested in him as like a creative mind, you just gotta go, oh, you pick up all these little things. And I think that's the really cool thing about the whole thing up to this was that the more we went on, people clearly knew it's Bray Wyatt, because it's like there's no way it can be anyone else. There was definitely no way it could be anyone else. There was the early rumblings of, oh, it's Karrion Kross. It's like, why would he be Karrion Kross when he's just returned with his current gimmick? It's like either something's gone,
a hidden higher power.
Either something stupid to change his gimmick halfway through to his Lucha Underground gimmick, which they probably didn't have the rights for anyway. So anyway, I'm digressing. It's just like I think for like building a return, it's been fairly decent. It's been kind of it's been new, it's been different, and it's actually been quite exciting and quite fun. And it's kind of like it's not all about having little vignettes and stuff like that. It's just like just these little teasers, TikToks and stuff like that, just to get people talking, and it builds to this. And the payoff is brilliant.
And what this was that you just alluded to was Daniel Cormier raises the hand of Matt Riddle by the entrance to the entire arena, as it were. Or the entrance to the WWE entrance, if you will. Then the lights go out. And this is after we've had the official sign-off. And you sort of hear the commentators going, oh, hey, are we still on the air? What's going on? And then you just see all the lights beginning, like people's phone lights starting to appear in the arena. Then you start hearing just the phrase over the PA of someone singing, he's got the whole world in his hands, but very slowly. And then it starts zooming into certain parts of the arena with people dressed as caricatures, which when you think back to it, because they kind of showed them off a bit later in the sequence of events, ultimately they are all, I'm not, super deforms are one way to put it, because that's chibi style if you're familiar with anime. Very super exaggerated, that's the phrase. Version. Sorry?
Manifestations.
There you go, that's a good word to use. Very much super manifestations of the characters from the Firefly Funhouse, of various characters pertaining to Bray Wyatt's legacy in one way, shape, or form. This then builds to a few kind of like random videos that start playing, which includes almost like an abandoned or decrepit version of the Firefly Funhouse. And then like some kind of severed head appearing on the commentary table, which spooks Michael Cole and Corey Graves for 2 seconds.
I think that's the flamed, grilled fiend.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's the fiend that no one particularly liked. The one that was burned alive. There we go. Done.
That's how we acknowledge that. Just a head on a table.
And let's pretend this feud never happened with Randy Orton, and we'll carry on.
And then there's just like a doorway sort of set up in front of the entrance, which in and of itself is amusing. And there's still some more videos playing, and there's some like teaser lines being shown on the screen and whatnot, which ultimately leads to the door being kicked down. There's some bright light in the background, so you can't see what's walking there. And then a figure starts walking towards you holding a lamp, wearing an unfamiliar mask. And then he takes the mask off. It is the face of Bray Wyatt. The crowd goes batshit, quite frankly, which is a wonderful moment. You could tell he was really trying to hold back the smile as well.
Yeah.
Really having to work that. And then he blows the light out and the show goes off the air. That's all you get. But Bray Wyatt, assuming that's still what he is called, is back in WWE.
It's the good old-fashioned, we're here. Derp. I've missed a good derp noise.
But I, from a concept point of view, again, watching this only based on what I saw at Extreme Rules, I thought this was a great reveal to do. In the context of when it happened, it really feels like this was the DVD extra. Because it's like the show's over, the match is done. Like, in the grand scheme of things, Riddle's just forgotten about. Like, he gets his big win over Seth in the Fight Pit match, has his hand raised by a UFC legend, and he's just gone. He just disappears into the ether. Where did he go? Did he become the door? You know?
I am the door. No. It's not as good as I am the table. Anyway.
But yeah, in terms of a production and a concept and building up something, regardless what people think of WWE when it comes to some of this stuff, they're damn good at doing this kind of stuff. You can't deny it.
When they put the effort into it and when they have the creative will behind it. I mean, it's like the person they've just recently hired to become director of long-term creative. Have you heard the story about Rob Fay?
I've not known.
So basically, before Bray Wyatt was released, he actually pitched to WWE a movie based on The Fiend. And it impressed Nick Khan. And apparently, up until Wyatt got released, this film was going to go ahead. But then they keep an eye on him. They bring him back in to sort of work with Bray again. But also, this is a guy who's worked on like Disney shows, written for Marvel, and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, you've got someone who understands a wealth of different entertainment sort of productions and stuff like that. And they've talked about being the next Marvel or before. And Nick Khan definitely spoke about being like the next Marvel or something like that. So it's kind of like, okay, this seems like a good fit. And the fact is that this has all been kind of like the start of this long-term creative director's sort of way of bringing people in. It's really good. I think it's the thing. It's kind of like it's the nice sort of thing of seeing things just kind of click, which never really seemed well. It didn't seem like it happened in Vince stuff. Everything was the same. Whereas there's a bit more distinction about big moments, big returns, storylines, and stuff like that. Again, it's just like my current mindset is it's fun watching WWE. It might not always be great or amazing. It's like I said, some of these matches on Extreme Rules were not that great, but overall, I still had a decent time with it. But I probably remember it more for Wyatt.
That's the key thing. Above all else, like if you had to point to a couple of things that you would go out of your way to see on the show, the opening trios match with with the Donnybrook, if you will, the last 10 minutes of the Edge match. I would probably add the ladder match more just from it's an interesting spectacle point of view to see what they did and kind of how safe it was. and such. And then, like, I would skip the main event personally, but then jump to the Bray Wyatt return. That's sort of what they would be my picks of the show if you were going to only watch a few things.
Yeah.
Oh, well, a random additional note before we wrap up. In the ladder match, I meant to mention this earlier. What was the thing with Bayley's knee brace and a bit of it coming loose? Was she meant to, like, use that as a weapon? Or did that just come loose? Because that felt like a very poignant moment. And I'm thinking, the last thing you want to do is disconnect your freaking knee brace after you've just come back from injury.
I'm not sure. Either that was something that was getting in the way of something. I don't know. Didn't actually factor into something.
It was just a very poignant moment that had a bit of emphasis on it and was just not there again. But what are you going to do? So that was WWE Extreme Rules, everybody. In terms of what is up next in WWE land, Monday Night Raw is going to feature, well, it's the quote-unquote season premiere when we're recording this, and it is tomorrow night, but at the time we're recording
brand new
this.
Commentary teams.
Yep, there's new commentary teams debuting. DX minus Daddy Ass are going to have a reunion. Expect hijacking of that by fans. There's also going to be Johnny Gargano versus Austin Theory. So we're finally getting kind of the blow off to the NXT feud that kind of a never was, but isn't, but was. And then we're also getting Seth Rollins challenging Bobby Lashley for the US title. Well, what's left of Rollins anyway, after taking that senton from freaking Riddle. One assumes that Rollins is going to get the belt. Part of me has an idea that this is a way to give Raw a championship or something that perceives to be a top championship. Because you've got the quality of the IC title on SmackDown, and Roman doesn't really appear on Raw all that much, albeit on the season premiere show tomorrow night. But I think this is a way you could very much elevate the US title and have it feel like a big time thing. If they really wanted to, it's like when originally there was going to be, this is circa 2003, I want to say. Well, no, it would have been 2002 because it would have been following Survivor Series. But anyway, there was the whole like undisputed championship thing. And then they sort of wanted to like have a SmackDown have a title and then have Raw have a title. And I want to say it was Brock Lesnar, like, then decided to kind of just go with SmackDown and storyline. So they made a title for Raw. And originally, apparently, the idea was just to elevate the IC title. But then the urban legend was, Triple H wants a real belt. So they gave him effectively the WCW title, but called it the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
And so that's how that got introduced. So, but the idea was to try and really elevate one of the secondary level title belts to being a main event player belt, as it were. So they could try and do that with this.
I mean, why weren't they doing it? They were kind of doing it already with Bobby, to be honest. It's just, I think, I don't know what's kind of, I don't know. It's just like,
well, I should clarify, nothing against Lashley whatsoever. I think he's freaking great. But in terms of level of star power, you could argue that Seth is a heck of a leap above at this point.
That's a fair point. Because it's like for a while after Triple H took over, they did try and make like the US title seem important. It really was more important. But yeah, it's kind of gone in the background a little bit. So maybe giving it to Seth for a couple of months might refresh it a little bit. But yeah, no, I would not be surprised if he wins the belt on Monday. I'm trying to think what else is going on. I don't know.
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
Exactly. But before we wrap up, sir, any other additional thoughts, random things you've remembered from Extreme Rules, or just any other random things you want to make mention of before we conclude this here edition of the program?
No, I'm all good. It's all
in that case, then,
lovely.
I will ask you the ever-present question of, should people want to get hold of us, what are the best ways that they can do that?
Well, they can throw us a nice written communication to BunkaMania at bunkazilla.co.uk. Do get in touch. We'd love to hear your thoughts about WWE Returns, how Triple H is doing, all that sort of stuff.
And all going well, folks, we'll be back within the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll be doing a live show again. If not, make sure you've got your subscribe buttons hit on the YouTube channel and or your podcast provider of choice so that when a new episode is available, it'll go right to your notifications and or download inbox in your podcast app. That was a weird way of phrasing that, but it worked in my head before I said it.
Basically, hit the subscribe buttons, hit the like buttons, and you'll be able to be told when we go live or have new episodes in whatever feed that you're enjoying the show, whether it be audio and visual. There we go.
Indeed.
Tidier.
There you
Maybe,
go.
not sure.
But hey, AEW this week is in Toronto, so it will be cool to see how that's going to be, especially how Dynamite's really kind of picked up some steam over the past few weeks. So no doubt at some point we'll have some thoughts to convey on that, or even at least the fallout of that and such. WWE will eventually be going to Crown Jewel, which I have zero interest in watching, quite frankly, but we'll talk about that off air, I guess.
But I think from a storytelling aspect, it's still going to be kind of important again.
When is Crown Jewel? Hang on.
It is 5th of November, I believe.
Oh, it is as well. Blimey. So another Saturday show. I will say
they've been Saturdays. They've been Saturdays now.
I am liking the fact they're on Saturdays. I will say
Saturday
that
shows are good. I like Saturday shows. They're good.
When's Survivor Series then, in theory?
Survivor Series is, I think, just before Thanksgiving.
Saturday the 26th of November, apparently.
There you go.
So are they literally just moving their shows to Saturdays now?
That's been the strategy, I think, for a while. I can't remember the last time they did a Sunday show. No,
a fair point. I clearly haven't paid attention.
I think the last time they've done a Sunday show was WrestleMania. Everything else has kind of been.
And that was 2 nights.
I think everything else they've tried to keep to Saturdays now, which has made a lot more sense, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's great if you're in the UK, believe me, folks. If you want to watch it live,
we'll see how Crown Jewel in terms of story matches comes up. I mean, obviously we've got Reigns and Logan Paul, which will probably be a fine match.
I forgot that was the main event of that show.
But if anything other than Reigns winning is the result, I'm going to lose all hope of humanity.
I'm going to call it now. They're going to do what's phrased a dusty finish, in that Logan Paul will get the win, but then it'll be like, oh no, actually he had his foot on the rope or something similar.
He's gonna get a visual pin on Roman, but he will still lose. That's the most I expect to happen.
I will say, and I promise we'll end in a second as well, because I've said it 5 times now, but part of me is genuinely very curious to see what the Saudi Arabia crowd reaction is to Logan Paul, because I have no indication as to how much of a followship, though, how much of a fan base, that's the word I was thinking of, that he has in that area of the world. So I'm actually kind of fascinated by that, just to see how much is this going to draw.
I would not be surprised if Reigns is treated as the babyface. Because obviously Reigns is more well known in terms of WWE side of things. Maybe Logan Paul has a follower in Saudi Arabia. It's not hard to imagine, but yeah, it's kind of like, I like the idea of the match, but it's like the only way this match works is Reigns walking away with the belts. It's like last time he needs to lose the belts too. Now it's no, he needs to keep the belts from Logan. He's got to keep those belts warm for Cody now, or Sammy.
So yeah, currently that is the only match announced for the card. I wasn't sure if there was anything else, but that is
there'll probably be more stuff. There will be more stuff.
Well, hope so. We don't want just like a 3-hour match between those two.
It could go on for 3 hours, Jeremy.
I mean, look, Roman's entrance could be 3 hours at that point, to make him walk from one end of the country to the other and arrive in the arena.
Unless he's got a really super fast jet.
Maybe he can have like one of the old WrestleMania entrance like ring things. Do you remember that from like the really old WrestleManias when they made the wrestlers?
Just sits in there, just drive them down.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Oh, I can't remember which Royal Rumble. I think it was Rumble 2016.
It's around that time, I think.
Where they had the very long ramp. No, it might be 2017. It might have been 2017 because I think that was a Braun Strowman one. Where they had the stupidly long ramp down to the ring. And it's like you have these weird camera angles at slight angles of people running down. And you could probably slow them down to the Baywatch theme of "I'll be there, I'll be there." But what you don't see is the moment they've done that, they jump onto the back of a golf cart that takes them to the rest of the ring, and then they get out and fight.
And some people just would like, imagine if the Ultimate Warrior had to run down that entrance.
It'd probably He'd probably end up running to the back of the golf cart. And the golf cart would go, "What's going on? I have no idea."
He's just hanging off the back going, "Yeah!
The ultimate warrior spirit's going forever.
My cardiovascular ability."
It will live on.
There you go. Well, folks, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed our chatter. Do let us know if you've got any comments in relation to what we have said. You can also find us on social media as well. The Bunkazilla UK Twitter account is quite simply at Bunkazilla UK.
The icon,
and of course,
bottom right corner.
I was going to say, I was wondering why you're pointing suddenly, like on the video version. It's like, what have I missed? It's like, oh, yes, right there on screen, as it says.
Right there. There. Not there, but there. Too much visual humor.
I was going to say, this is great for an audio podcast listener, isn't it? I've got to try and think of another random anecdote to finish on now. I went to one of the New Japan shows the other day. It was really good fun.
Oh, you went to Royal Quest?
I went to night 2 of Royal Quest.
A lot of people went to night 2. Some of the Wrestle Talk guys went to night 2 as well.
I mean, I think the majority of them were there because I think I saw them. I didn't get a chance to say hi, but one of the only reasons I went to night 2 was, one, night 1 was sold out, but also because I literally couldn't be there because I had a previous engagement that I was sort of I was made to be committed to, as it were. So it's like, okay, well, if I can do anything, I just kind of decided at the last minute, you know what, night 2, why not? I'm up for it, and it was a good show, fun stuff. The arena was weird though, Crystal Palace. We might talk about this another time, but really fun experience, really, really good fun.
Good.
And some good hard-hitting action. And seeing FTR live was a great highlight.
That's good.
That was the main reason. Folks, thank you very much for listening. Until next time, from myself, Jeremy Graves, from him, the Dekker, Mr. Iain Boulton, we've been BunkaMania, signing out. Until next time.